after having a drunken hookup with my childhood friend, Selena. The next day, she leaned against the bed's headboard, looking troubled while smoking. I noticed her regret, and I reassured her we're adults. Let's just call it helping each other out. She breathed a sigh of relief. That's good because I have a boyfriend. That surprised me. A boyfriend? I asked. Yeah, she said seriously. I'm planning to bring him home this year. When you meet him, you'll know what you should or shouldn't say. After a brief silence, I forced a smile. Don't worry, I've got it. We're good friends after all. Selena seemed satisfied and extinguished her cigarette in the ashtray before getting dressed. Smart. Don't worry. I won't forget you. I have a very handsome friend who I can introduce to you sometime, she said. As she was leaving, she looked back. David, we said whoever finds true love first, the other must give their blessing. You'll bless us, right? I kept my smile intact. Of course, when you two get married, I'll give you a whole big red envelope. She smiled and left, shutting the door gently. After a little while, I lit up the cigarette Selena had left by the bed. I took a deep drag. I'm not really a smoker, even though Selena taught me a few times. I never really got the hang of it and always ended up coughing. This time was no different. The harsh smoke burned my throat, causing a coughing fit. With each cough, it felt like my heart was being torn apart, and my eyes began to blur with tears. How many years have I secretly loved Selena? Seems like it's the 7th year now. Last night, we went out for dinner like we usually do. We drank a lot and can't remember who made the first move, but somehow ended up tangled together. This morning, my eager excitement turned to icy dread seeing her furrowed brow. The body aches I felt were nothing compared to the heartache, so I put on a casual face. We're adults. I don't expect you to take responsibility. It was just mutual assistance. I clearly saw Selena relax, a slight smile appearing. That's good. I always thought Selena had some feelings for me. We did everything couples do except having the label. She didn't like staying in the dorm, so throughout college, I took the train every week to stay with her and kept her apartment near campus clean. We shopped together, cooked and ate together, played games on the couch together. She treated me well, remembered to bring me gifts from her trips, never missed a holiday surprise for me. Eventually, I got used to this illusion, thinking our future together was just waiting on one final step. Turns out it was just one-sided on my part. I never understood why so many people like nicotine. Now I get it. Nicotine doesn't bring happiness, but it can make you feel less miserable. I learned how to smoke just like that on this very day. The next day was New Year's, and as usual, my family and I went to Selena's for dinner. Our families are close, especially since my mom and Selena's mom have been best friends since they were kids. After our grandparents passed, we often spent holidays together. When we opened the door, I was a bit taken aback. Seated at the table next to Selena was a man in a white turtleneck, with neat, clean-cut black hair. He was strikingly handsome, like someone out of a TV drama. Who's this? My mom paused in surprise. This is Tim, Selena's boyfriend, her mom announced with a big smile. We've been waiting for her to bring someone home for years. Thank goodness. I used to think she'd never marry. Selena smiled at me just like she always did. Come sit down. My mom made your favorite braised chicken wings. You don't have to share this time. The whole plate is yours. I hesitated, then sat as far from her as possible. Selena's smile faltered slightly. Quietly, I focused on my food, creating a less lively atmosphere than usual. Perhaps noticing the tension, Selena's mom began praising Tim. Tim's a fellow alum of Selena's. He's a scholarship winner every year. His parents are both professors, he's been a stellar student his whole life, and he got an offer from the ER magazine right after graduation. He's an editor now. My mom was full of praise. So handsome and talented. Imagine how good-looking your kids will be. Unlike our David, she said, casting a familiar critical glance at me. Something I'd heard often. He's done nothing since graduation. Talks about writing a book but hasn't done it. He never leaves the house. You're 26, David. It's gonna get harder to find someone. Good ones get snapped up fast. I worry myself sick. I clenched my chopsticks tightly. My mom's criticism usually didn't bother me, but in front of Selena and her boyfriend, it felt like someone ripped my skin off. David is talented, Selena's mom said kindly. One day he might become a famous author, and you'll live in comfort. My mom shrugged. I'm not holding my breath. If he just brings a girl home someday, I'll consider it a mission accomplished. Tim suddenly spoke up. I know a lot of wonderful girls, David. Why don't we exchange numbers? I can introduce you. I glanced at him and forced a smile. Thanks, but no need. Tim smiled, taking Selena's hand affectionately. Come on, there's no need to be polite. Selena says you're her best friend since you were kids? I've actually seen you around before. You were always with Selena. Back then, I thought you two might end up together. No way. Selena wrapped an arm around his shoulder, her pretty eyes curving into a smile. We've known each other since we were kids. We're just like family. If we were going to be together, it would have happened already. Why are you asking? We're just friends, best friends, right, David? I looked up and met Selena's warning gaze. In that moment, I probably had a strained smile, but I had used up all the acting I could muster. Yeah, I repeated, best friends. I forced a smile, suddenly finding it all absurd to the point of being ridiculous. Best friends. Just yesterday we slept together. Best friends? Well, that would make him my best friend too, Tim chuckled. Don't be shy to tell me what you like. Yeah. Selena turned her eyes to me. David, you really should find someone. Okay. I lowered my head, thinking tears might come. But they didn't. My eyes felt dry, the soreness from last night still lingering. The atmosphere at the dinner table was lively. Everyone wore a smile except me. My mom kept complimenting how well Selena and Tim matched as a couple. They really did look perfect together in terms of appearances, education, and abilities. It was like they were made for each other. I watched them, feeling like I was punishing myself. My nails dug into my palm until my mom tapped my hand with her chopsticks, telling me to bring someone home to make her happy. She didn't expect me to find someone like Selena, but I'd be fine with anyone decent. I couldn't sit any longer. I stood up, pushed my bowl away, and tried to maintain a hint of politeness. Aunt, Uncle, I suddenly remembered I have something to do. I'll head out now. I had planned to finish my draft tonight, but my mind was a mess. I couldn't write a thing. I lay on my bed, feeling like I wanted to shout but couldn't, wanted to cry but had no tears. My throat and tear ducts seemed blocked. The discomfort seemed to compress my whole body, so I went downstairs to buy cigarettes. My hometown sees a lot of snow in winter. Snowflakes fell thickly, glowing orange under the streetlight's halo. I suddenly remembered the times when Selena and I walked home from school, endlessly talking. I'd start by saying what happened today, then she'd go next. We'd chat until we reached my place, and even then, standing in the cold didn't bother us until our talk was done. If I sneezed from the cold, she'd unwind her gray scarf to wrap it around me, reminding me, wear more layers next time, or I won't help you. She was genuinely wonderful, just not in the way I wished. Not being into me was the only flaw. But it wasn't really a flaw, she was simply way above my league. Her future with Tim was so bright and promising. But for me, it was the closest to a real dream as it got in my dull life. I stared blankly at the snow, hanging the cigarette out of my mouth, ready to light up, until I noticed two figures in the snow, holding hands in the distance. One tall and upright, the other gracefully shaped, blending into the snowy scene like a movie shot. A classic image. Long hair gleaming under the streetlight. It was Tim and Selena. They suddenly laughed at something and Tim stood on tiptoes to kiss Selena. She leaned in, deepening the kiss. The streetlight that used to shine on us was now illuminating them. Even I had to admit that it was as beautiful as a scene from a drama. I watched for a couple of seconds, then pressed the lighter with stiff fingers. My hand fumbled, finally managing to spark a flame. I unsteadily exhaled white smoke. But this time, the nicotine didn't work. My heart ached dully. I pressed my palm against it, feeling the slow burn of heartbreak. This winter, it's so very cold. New Year's Day was filled with my mom's nagging, criticizing my joblessness and lack of a partner, comparing me to Selena. Look at Selena. You've never measured up since you were little. Now, the difference is even clearer. The worst part was she was right. Selena's startup was thriving. Tim was already editing for a well-known magazine. Their futures shone bright. While I had nothing, it seemed like we were drifting apart, destined for different worlds. That night I couldn't hold back, arguing with my mom and heading to the airport, buying the first ticket back to school. The moment the plane landed, Selena called. "Heard from your mom you left. Why didn't you wait for me? Couldn't get the draft done at home, had to come back to work on it. But honestly, I can't write anywhere right now." Selena quickly saw through me. "Argued with your mom again? She just wants you settled. I got you a gift. I'll give it to you when I'm back." That year, on the 8th, Selena was back and asked me out. "Dinner tonight, I'll give you your gift." She always had a knack for finding things I loved but wouldn't buy for myself. I had always accepted without guilt, but this time I refused. "I don't want it, Selena. Stop buying things for me." Selena sounded puzzled. "Why? What's up?" I looked down. "Now that you're dating, buying such expensive gifts for another guy might make your boyfriend uncomfortable." Even though I liked Selena, she had someone she loved now. I'm genuinely happy for her happiness. I held no grudge against Tim. If not him, it'd be someone else. It never could have been me anyway. "No worries," came Selena's lighthearted reply. "Tim's not so petty. Tonight at 7, usual spot. Okay? Gotta go, I have a meeting." After hanging up, I couldn't quite describe how I felt. It was like bitter plum juice was seeping from my chest. Sometimes I hated how nice Selena was to me. I'd prefer if she treated me a little worse so I wouldn't like her so much. Tim didn't care, of course. Selena didn't like me, which meant she didn't need to avoid me either. He knew I'd never be a threat anyway. We weren't rivals in love. I wasn't even qualified to be his rival. Selena didn't give me a chance to say no, so after work, I headed to our usual restaurant. To my surprise, there were 3 people seated at the table. Tim was there, along with a woman I didn't know. She was quite the looker, kinda like a celebrity. I paused, and then Selena waved me over. "Over here." As soon as I sat down, she introduced the woman. "This is my friend Victoria, from MIT, now running her own company." Before I could figure out why she was giving so much detail, Selena mouthed silently to me. "Single." Everything clicked for me in a second. It wasn't a gift she wanted to give. She was trying to set me up. My emotions churned. I probably looked awful, but I couldn't control it. I could accept that Selena didn't like me, but I couldn't accept her rushing to set me up with someone else. She knew how much I liked her. How could she just brush me off like that? Or was she just afraid I'd keep hanging around? So she was pushing me to date someone else quickly? Selena didn't seem to notice my feelings. "You guys met as kids, right? Don't remember?" I just looked down and didn't say anything. Victoria wasn't upset though. She smiled and said, "David, you used to pick on me when we were kids. Remember? Now you act like you don't know me. Not cool." She pointed to a small scar on her forehead. I paused as she went on. "We were neighbors back then. I was new in the area, and Selena was the queen bee, always picking fights with me. Then you used to back her up, remember?" She rested her chin on her hand, her eyes crinkling with her smile. "Back then you were really feisty, but now you seem so calm." And it all came back to me. All the kids listened to Selena, except for the new kid who always challenged her. One time, they got into a scuffle, and I stepped in to help Selena. I just wanted to scare her a little, but somehow I tripped, and a small rock in my hand hit her forehead, making her bleed. I got a good scolding from my mom that day and had to go apologize to Victoria's family. Her parents were understanding, said kids will be kids, and didn't blame me. After that, feeling guilty, I couldn't refuse when Victoria wanted to play. Soon, I was spending more time with her than with Selena, which made Selena mad a few times, saying she wouldn't be my friend anymore. But in a few years, Victoria moved away. At first, I missed her and kept writing letters. But you know how kids are, they forget. Over time, she faded from my memory. Yet here she was, that fierce little kid grown into such an attractive woman. We bumped into each other and talked about you, so we thought, why not get everyone together for a meal? Oh right. Selena handed me a gift. Cartier watch. I felt something stir inside me. I'd once mentioned how much I liked it, and Selena remembered. Tim picked it out for you. How is it? Good taste? I paused with the gift box in my hand. Tim smiled. Yeah, Selena and I saw it when we were traveling. Thought it'd look great on you. Do you like it? I suddenly found it a bit absurd and funny. Tim and I really had similar tastes, not just in watches but also in women. He's a good guy. He must have known I liked Selena. Yet he never made it hard for me. Just subtly made sure I knew she never had any romantic feelings for me. I forced a little smile, putting all my energy into not looking as rough as I felt. I like it, thanks. That evening Selena called me. I gave Victoria your number. She's really nice. You should get to know her better. Nice? I glanced at the moon shining coldly outside, bright like a halogen lamp. Of course, she's nice. You have no idea how popular she is. Breakfast even varies every day for her. Oh, and she's never dated before. Promise she's still a virgin, so don't worry, totally clean. Her praise for Victoria was relentless, as if afraid I wouldn't like Victoria and would keep clinging to her. My heart felt squeezed dry, crushed, and my ear was echoing with agony. Tears that hadn't fallen earlier started to spill. I didn't dare speak, fearing my voice would crack. But Selena heard it anyway. She sighed, David, I've always seen you as a friend. Don't waste your time on me. My heart shattered. So she always knew. She knew I liked her. In the suffocating pain, I shakily lit a cigarette. Cigarettes really are magical. They dull the pain from what felt like almost dying just a moment ago with nicotine. Liking her was a hopeless journey. I'd been trudging along for years but never saw the end. Maybe it was time to stop here, stop moving forward. I heard myself reply, the words felt distant. Okay, I'll add her. That same night, after finishing the cigarette, I decided to give up on Selena. Victoria didn't add me until the next day, and at first our conversation was a little awkward. But she quickly brought up our childhood memories, and that made things easier. Do you remember you used to love those grilled sausages from that food stall? I spent all my pocket money on them for us. We'd each have one, but you ate so fast you'd end up eating half of mine too. I blushed, remembering that actually happened. I used to be a bit of a brat when I was a kid. Victoria seemed all tough, but she couldn't really handle me throwing fits. Every time we played, I would bully her. If my legs hurt, I'd have her carry me. If I was hungry, she'd have to buy me snacks. If it rained, her backpack was my umbrella. I hadn't been back for a while since being abroad and wasn't sure where the good eats were. I thought for a bit and recommended an old spot Selena and I always went to. It had been around for years, ever since school days. Seems nice, wanna go together? She added, you owe me so many sausages. It's about time you pay me back, right? I couldn't really refuse. All right, I'll treat you. The weather had been pretty bad lately, all gray and snowy. Winter days get dark early. Snowflakes shimmered in the car lights. I spotted Victoria right away on the roadside by the stalls. Not for any obvious reason, she just stood out. She had on a long gray wool coat with a black turtleneck underneath and was holding a Bentley umbrella. Her presence was undeniable, like a K-drama poster with guys walking by doing double takes. I blushed. Come on, we're hitting up a food stall, why'd you dress so fancy? Victoria tilted the umbrella over me, looked down and said sheepishly, had just come out of a meeting, didn't have time to change. Should I go back and change now? No, that's cool. I tugged her towards the stalls. Their grilled squid is amazing, and the eggplant, you have to try it. She glanced at my hand. Okay, you've made it big now, I said as the dishes arrived, making small talk. You used to get into fights all the time. Now? I looked her up and down. Really can't recognize you, you've changed so much. Victoria's eyes sparkled like glass beads. Honestly, I never meant to fight you. I had just moved and didn't have many friends. I thought you looked cute and wanted to be friends, but Selena wouldn't have it, so we ended up fighting. Huh? I was stunned. She was pretty fierce back then. Every time she saw us hanging out, she'd confront me, Victoria said, looking thoughtful. I thought she liked you, but turns out you're just buddies. My smile faded a bit. Yeah, just buddies. Suddenly, my phone buzzed. I glanced down. It was a message from Selena. What you doing? Come out to eat. Found this awesome spot. Before I could reply, Victoria nudged the menu toward me. I've never tried grilled eggplant. Is it good? It's delicious. I perked up. Their grilled eggplant is amazing. You've got to try it. Let's order some grilled eggplant. And they got fresh beer too, Victoria pointed out another table. Haven't had fresh beer in ages. Did you drive? I didn't. I called over, boss, 2 more fresh beers. Before I finished, she'd already decided, so I didn't argue. With the beer, the vibe changed. A few drinks in, Victoria tipped her head. Selena mentioned you're writing a book? Can I take a look? I waved it off, it's just an online novel. Not a big deal. That's still cool, she said, laughing a bit embarrassed. I thought about writing thrillers like Ryujui Saigetsu, but gave up after scribbling a bit. You like Ryujui Saigetsu too? I was surprised. I really enjoy his novels as well. Yeah. She paused. I remember you used to be great at writing essays. Even then I thought you'd do well. I knew it was just small talk. But when no one else supported my dream, even my parents thought I was wasting time, and Selena never took my writing seriously, not having a single person backing me up. Even if they were just nice words, they warmed my heart. Talking with Victoria was fun. She never let the conversation die. And with the beer, we had a blast, even planned our next hangout. It wasn't until after dinner, when I was in the restroom, that I saw a string of messages and missed calls on my phone. All from Selena. My light mood got a bit heavy. I hesitated for a moment before stepping outside to call her back. What's up? Where have you been tonight, working late and missed my messages? Selena sounded a bit annoyed. I texted to grab food, but no reply, and I haven't eaten yet. Come over. Looking down, I said, I'm not, I just finished eating. Just finished? By yourself? She was puzzled. With Victoria. The wind blew snowflakes into the room, melting on my face. A slight chill. There was a brief silence on her end. Selena's voice came through. A bit distorted, Victoria? She held back emotion. You barely know her and are already having dinner together? I didn't think it was a big deal. Weren't you the one who introduced us? I stopped talking, Victoria heading over. Being on the phone too long was rude, so I said, gotta go. I hung up. Shortly after, more messages pinged in. What time will you be back? Send your location, it's late. I'll come get you. I frowned a bit, but then Victoria waved her phone. I just got us a driver. Let's go. Where are you living now? Her words sounded so natural, I instinctively answered, Central Block. Victoria quickly told the driver, then opened the door, gently ushering me inside. She didn't sit up front but beside me. Fresh notes of mint lemon sea salt mixed with the slight haze of wheat beer wafted over me. Who you texting? Been on your phone all night. I placed my phone down, no one. It wasn't until Victoria had dropped me off and left that I remembered to respond to Selena. Don't worry. She already gave me a lift. Suddenly, calls started coming in. Did she drive you home? Does she know where you live now? Isn't that moving a bit fast? I was a bit confused. Weren't you the one who pushed her to me, saying she's nice and popular? Selena abruptly went silent and changed the subject. What did she treat you to for dinner? I treated her. We went to that street food stall we frequent. You took her to the place I introduced you to. Selena suddenly raised her voice. Yeah, what's the big deal? Nothing, just thought she'd at least take you somewhere fancy, not let you pay. I figured she'd at least pick a Michelin star restaurant. Selena's vibe was off tonight, speaking all passive-aggressively. I had no idea what was up. I was a bit tipsy and sleepy, didn't want to argue. We go there often too, Selena, you're acting really weird tonight. What's the deal? She was quiet for a second, then curtly said, nothing, bye. When it was time to wash Bingo, I was in a bit of a bind. Bingo's a stray dog Selena and I picked up, a Labrador mix. He's been living with me since. He's big and fidgety during baths, so a lot of local groomers refused to handle him. Selena and I ended up washing him at home. It's hard to control him alone. He's got a lot of strength and wagging his tail feels like being hit by a weapon. Sometimes I feel like my leg's gonna break. But since Selena's dating someone now, it's kinda awkward to ask for her help to wash a dog. I wrestled with my thoughts and ended up calling Victoria. So yeah, if you're busy, it's no big deal. Victoria readily agreed, all confident and said, Don't worry about it. Just a dog. I've got it covered. An hour later, Victoria, wincing and looking at a welt on her leg, said, Seriously, David, out of curiosity, shouldn't a Labrador's tail be classified as a weapon? Bingo seemed to like Victoria. She bribed him with a big piece of cod upon entering, and he wouldn't leave her side, just wagging his tail and beating her up with it. Victoria, with a pained smile, picked Bingo up and put him in the tub, starting to lather him up. As soon as he saw water, Bingo went nuts, constantly trying to leap at Victoria. While she was adjusting the water temperature, Bingo unexpectedly knocked her over, causing her to fall towards me in our cramped bathroom. Thankfully, she caught herself before completely crashing onto me, though she still landed on me pretty hard, covering me completely. The small bathroom fogged up with steam. The scent of lemon and mint soap was thick and heavy. Victoria's white shirt was soaked and clung to her, showing off her sexy figure underneath. We were way too close. Victoria looked down at me, possibly because of the steam. Her lips were a bright, wet red, and her clear, dark eyes seemed clouded and intense, not looking away. A drip of water rolled down her hair and landed on the corner of my mouth, causing me to quickly jerk my head back. Are you okay? Victoria paused, slowly got to her feet, and gave me a little smile. I'm all right, but why's your face so red? She leaned in, tilting her head with an innocent look, her full, slightly turned-up M-shaped lips looking like fresh cherries. David, are you running a fever? In an instant, my face flushed with blood. I practically scrambled out of the bathroom in a rush. I just remembered I've got something. You continue washing him. I heard a light chuckle behind me as I left. Since then, Victoria has come over several times to help wash the dog. Each time, she brings a different gift. Today it was a chew stick, tomorrow it's a pet cream cup, the day after it's fish skin. Bingo gets so excited seeing her. More than me. He quickly turned traitor. Victoria happily accepted her new son. Until one day, when I was walking Bingo outside and ran into Selena with a shopping bag. What are you doing here? I was surprised. Haven't seen Bingo in ages, probably needs a bath, right? Selena gestured with the bag. I bought new pet shampoo and freeze-dried treats. You're such a forgetful dad. Never calling me to wash the kid. Looks pretty clean actually. Bingo, come to mommy. Ever since we found Bingo, Selena's called herself his mom and said Bingo's her doggy son. Initially, I was quietly pleased and called myself Bingo's dad. But now I frowned, feeling a weird discomfort. Bingo wagged his tail excitedly, heading her direction. But, just as Selena smiled and reached to hug him, he passed her by and ran straight into Victoria's arms. Victoria smiled, gave Bingo a jerky treat and said, Bingo, miss your mom? Selena's smile vanished instantly. Her tone turned cold. What are you doing here? Victoria seemed oblivious to her icy mood, standing there as Bingo thumped against her legs. I came to bathe my dog. Selena's always been savvier with people than anyone else. Deep down, she's quite arrogant, looks down on people, but always seems so gentle and likable. I've never seen her like this, coldly saying, Bingo's my son. Oh, is he? Well, he doesn't seem to like you. Victoria pet Bingo's head, and between the two women, who claimed to be friends, sparks flew across their gazes. Bingo, Selena's chilling voice called. Come here. Bingo was left standing there, circling Victoria, looking a bit confused. Since Selena started dating, it's been 2 months since she's visited Bingo. When Bingo was little, he got hit by a car and his memory's not so great. Sometimes when I leave him at a friend's place while I go back home, he takes a while to recognize me. It's been so long that he doesn't recognize Selena anymore. Selena's face fell as she grabbed Bingo's collar. Bingo, when you were a puppy wandering the streets and getting beat up, I was the one who took you in. You don't remember me? All those chicken legs you ate were thanks to me. Bingo, scared out of his wits, backed away behind Victoria. Victoria, protecting him, frowned and said, Selena, you're scaring him. But Selena, not giving up, kept on holding Bingo. You ungrateful dog. Bingo, I'm your mom. At his wits' end, Bingo whimpered and bit Selena on the hand, It wasn't a hard bite, but it drew blood. Selena stood there, staring in shock at the bite mark on her hand and the blood. You all right? I asked anxiously. Do you need to see a doctor? Victoria pulled me aside. Look at Bingo, he's trembling. Maybe he's having a panic attack. Let's take him to the vet. I turned to see Bingo, who seemed to sense he'd done wrong. He was lying on the ground, shaking and whimpering, breathing heavily, with his belly moving up and down. Victoria picked up Bingo. Let's go. Panic hit me and I couldn't help but scold her. You know how scared he gets. Why did you scare him like that? I decided to take him to the vet. You go get your rabies shot. Selena stood there, pale as a sheet, staring at me until I got in Victoria's car and drove away. I could still see her in the rearview mirror as we left. Bingo was okay. The doctor said he was just frightened and needed some rest. I felt awful about the whole thing. Bingo has been with me and Selena since he was a little pup. Even though Selena didn't spend as much time with him as I do, she was always attentive. She must be hurt after being bitten. But can we blame the poor dog? His damaged little brain just forgot her after all this time. Looking at Bingo, who seemed down, I sighed and hugged him. My book, on the other hand, wasn't doing too well. Despite writing thousands of words, I had hardly any readership. I forced myself to finish it. The editor said it wasn't bad. But good books often don't get noticed. Sometimes it's about luck, getting on the right list. In the midst of all this, my mom called to nag. What's come of that book of yours? You're barely surviving with a couple thousand a month. Why do you keep going down this path you aren't meant for? She scolded. Look at Selena and her boyfriend. Why is everyone else so successful? She reminded me that she wasn't asking for greatness, just a stable job. Stop writing that nonsense and get ready to come back. She finally hung up, reluctantly, after a long rant, sending me a link. I opened it. It was a profile of Tim, a success story. A golden boy, born with a silver spoon, top student, piano prodigy, performing in Sydney, and a stellar graduate. He landed an offer from a leading magazine before finishing school, climbing to editor in no time. Compared to his shining life, I felt like a nobody. Feeling restless, I grabbed a cigarette from the trash where I'd thrown them during a quit attempt and lit up. The sharp cold mixed with nicotine stung my throat. I stared at the dark night sky, feeling lost and tired. Maybe my mom was right. Maybe I wasn't cut out for anything special. Maybe I should accept an average life because that's all I am. Just then, my phone buzzed. It was Victoria, her voice excited. There's a meteor shower in Leo tomorrow night. I have a villa in the mountains with a telescope. Want to check it out? I hesitated, but she added, I heard wishing on the Leo meteor shower really works. The doubt hovered, but I said yes, sure. Victoria, with her fancy mountain villa, had a whole glass wall showing nothing but stars. I sat with her, wrapped in a blanket, suddenly feeling way out of my league. As adults, there was no need to play dumb. I knew Victoria liked me, but why? What would a regular person like me offer someone like her? Had she just seen too many good guys and wanted a change of pace? I distanced myself slightly from her, suddenly craving a smoke again. I didn't bring any, feeling jittery. I turned to Victoria. Got a cigarette? She paused, surprised. You smoke? A rebellion flared in me. Yeah, I'm a smoker. Does that bother you? Victoria raised an eyebrow. Why would it? It's your choice. She checked her pocket and opened a box. Last one. It's menthol. Want it? I nodded. She lit it for me, her long lashes casting shadows on her cheeks. After just one puff, she gestured. Give me a hit. I was taken aback. You just saw it was the last one, didn't you? Planning to hog it all for yourself? Victoria looked at me, her eyes a shade lighter than most, like the clear seawater under moonlight. I couldn't refuse someone with such an enchanting face. Lost in thought, she smoothly took the cigarette from me and put it between her lips. She squinted, blowing out minty smoke, and somehow found a blanket to wrap tightly around us both. David, I really like you. I liked you when we were kids, and when we met again, I liked you right away. You might not realize how amazing you are. Maybe you're at a confusing point in your life now, and you can't see your own light. but I've always been able to see it crystal clear. She pointed at the sky, where a meteor shower had quietly begun. Just like that, you're dazzling. I stared in awe at the streaking meteors across the sky. She chuckled and gently pat my head. Make a wish. I quickly closed my eyes and made my wish. I hope for the life I want and for my career to be successful. Reluctantly, I finally opened my eyes, meeting Victoria's smiling gaze. My face grew hot, and I awkwardly searched for a topic. What did you wish for? Victoria said nothing, just leaned in slightly, looking at my lips, her voice a bit raspy. There's only one puff left of this cigarette. You want it? I could hear my heart pounding as I replied. Yes. The butt pressed against my lips, the filter damp. A second later, a warm thumb caught my chin as the cool taste of nicotine filled my mouth. Smoke found its way out between our touching lips. The cool sensation quickly turned warm. As my breath was stolen, I leaned back helplessly, instinctively gripping her wrist. Victoria gently yet firmly interlocked her fingers with mine, squeezing my fingers into her own. Outside, the meteor shower intensified, dazzling to the brink of despair. Victoria's tongue brushed against the corner of my mouth, her damp temple flicking against my burning earlobe as she gasped and looked up. So what are we now? I nervously asked back, what do you think? Do you count that? Victoria laughed, nibbling on my lip before saying, well, then I think I'm now your girlfriend. If you don't say anything, I'll take it as a yes. The phone suddenly rang, and as I fumbled to answer, I accidentally turned on the speaker. The voice from the other end abruptly cooled my hot breaths. David, why aren't you here yet? My mind went blank. What? Selena's voice dropped a notch. It's my birthday today. Didn't you forget? Panic swept over me, realizing it was indeed Selena's birthday. It used to be my most important day of the year, planning months in advance for her gift and birthday surprise. But this time, I utterly forgot. Feeling awkward, I honestly admitted, sorry, I forgot. Selena was obviously upset. No gift is fine, just come to my place. I've got food, snacks, and movies ready, just waiting for you. Every year, Selena's birthdays were just the two of us. Good food, some wine, chatting, then cozying up on the couch or heading out for a movie. Nothing grand, but back then, it felt like the epitome of happiness in the world. I frowned slightly. You're in a relationship now. Isn't it inappropriate for me to come over? From now on, maybe you and Tim could spend it together. David, the meteor shower's about to end. Victoria, noticing I hadn't hung up, gave me a slightly annoyed push. Hearing her voice, Selena instantly fell silent. After an agonizing pause, her cold laughter filled the room. David, is it because I'm dating? Or is it you just don't want to come? I sighed. It's just not convenient being with Victoria. Happy birthday. I'll make it up to you later with a gift. Her voice rose sharply, unable to contain her bottled-up anger any longer. Victoria, it's always Victoria. Is she that important? How long have we known each other compared to her? And she's more important now. I found it oddly funny. I didn't understand why Selena was upset. Aren't we all adults who should know to keep some distance when in a relationship with an opposite-sex friend? Or is she playing ignorant, wanting to be with Tim but also clinging onto a flirty friendship? Suddenly, I felt like I never really knew her. If Selena merely didn't like me and made it clear, I'd just feel a bit hurt, but not so distressed. But now I felt a little repulsed. Calmly, I said, of course, she is my girlfriend. After a suffocating silence, Selena awkwardly squeezed out a few words. You guys are together? Yeah, I nodded. Didn't you introduce us, hoping we'd get together? Now it's as you wished. An unexpected malicious pleasure made me laugh. She is indeed as wonderful as you said. I should thank you. Otherwise, how would I have found such a great girlfriend? Victoria took the phone with a bright smile. Thanks. We'll treat you to dinner together soon. 3 seconds later, the call was abruptly hung up, leaving an angry beeping sound echoing in the room. I stared at the phone in a daze. Victoria hugged me. Don't get distracted. The meteor shower is almost over. I didn't go back. Because I made a wish upon a meteor, I decided to give myself one last chance. To write one more book, the last one. If it fails, I'll give up this path entirely. That night, I hesitated at my computer for a long time, throwing away all my old ideas before a new concept sprung to mind. I don't want to write romance anymore. I want to write a comeback story. After the meteor shower, Selena and I fell into a cold war. She hasn't contacted me for a while. Even at the street food stall, the owner couldn't help asking about her. Where's Selena? Haven't seen her lately? She's in a relationship, spending time with her boyfriend. The boss seemed a bit surprised. You two aren't a couple? I thought you were dating. You guys are always hanging out together. I chuckled, just friends, that's all. I didn't expect him to reach out to me first. A friend of mine just opened a new escape room. It's reportedly the biggest in the city. He wants us to try it out and give our feedback. Why not bring Victoria along too? I declined. Sorry, we might not have time lately. Selena and I had reached a point where there was no point in continuing our relationship. Although we used to be very close, maybe that's where fate decided it should end. Seeing each other would only make things awkward. Come on, do me a favor. Selena and I don't have many close friends. If you don't come, I really don't know who else to ask. With him saying that, it was hard to refuse. I glanced over at Victoria. She raised her eyebrows and nodded at me. All right, send me the location. Tim grinned. Perfect. This Saturday at 7 p.m. I'll be waiting for you. It had been a while since I last saw Selena, and she wasn't exactly thrilled to see me. She leaned against the wall, hands in her pockets, and her gaze flicked across me before looking away coldly. Tim, on the other hand, was excited. Let's go. A friend of mine invested over $8 million in this project. There are dozens of live NPCs. It's a blast. Selena scoffed. Some people get so scared watching horror movies they can't sleep. Don't wet your pants playing escape room. I gave her a pointed look, knowing she was referring to something from high school. Back then, my parents and hers had gone on a trip together, leaving me to hang out with Selena. There was a horror movie, something like A Quiet Place, that had just come out, and she insisted we watch it. I wasn't too bothered while watching, but later I couldn't sleep. I kept imagining monsters by my bed. So, after a lot of hesitation, I tiptoed over and tapped on Selena's door. Selena, can I sleep with you? She jumped in surprise, pulling the covers up. Sleep together? Why? It's your fault for wanting to watch that horror movie. I told you I didn't want to. She tried not to laugh, but seeing me tear up, she sighed and moved over on her bed. All right, come here. Once I was wrapped up in her blanket, she awkwardly patted me and softened her voice. I'm here. Don't be scared, sleep well. Tomorrow I'll take you to get ice cream from that new place. With her there, all my fears melted away, and I slept soundly. I still remember waking up the next morning. When I opened my eyes groggily, I immediately locked eyes with Selena. She was leaning on one hand, smiling at me. Scaredy cat, you're awake? Sunlight danced on her long eyelashes, and my heart fluttered. I could hear my heartbeat in the morning light. That's when I first realized I had feelings for Selena. As Tim said, the escape room had gone all out. Everything was incredibly realistic. I was so scared that I clung to Victoria's arm, palms sweating, heart pounding. Victoria held my hand tightly. Don't be scared. Tim seemed a bit on edge too, staying close to Selena. She, however, seemed completely unfazed, hands in her pockets, walking briskly forward. I tried to keep my fear in check, not wanting to embarrass myself in front of Selena and Tim. As we neared the exit, I let out a sigh of relief, not expecting that in the final room. While searching for clues, a cold hand suddenly grabbed my ankle from under a bed. In the gloomy light, a bloody female ghost with hair over her face slowly emerged. The terrifying sound effects blared, and a hanging ghost above us swung down, screaming at Tim and me. Even though I knew they were NPCs, I was scared out of my mind and couldn't even scream. Tim went pale too. In our panic, we tripped over each other and fell back. Just as I was about to hit the ground, two pairs of hands reached out and caught me. I instinctively grabbed the closest hand. I found myself against a body that smelled faintly of mint. Victoria's worried voice came from above me. Are you okay? Before I could respond, the room lit up and the door opened. Time was up. Instinctively, I looked to the side. Selena was holding out her hands awkwardly toward me, frozen mid-air. Tim had fallen to the floor at her feet, looking between her and me with a sour expression. The atmosphere here was more suffocating than inside the escape room. I tried to diffuse the tension. Selena, did you mistake me for Tim? But she didn't respond, just stared darkly at Victoria and me, not bothering to explain. Victoria met her gaze calmly. Tim stood up slowly, leaving without leaning on Selena. That evening, Tim asked to meet up alone. His eyes were red, though he looked pretty composed in his expensive coat, hair perfectly in place. Selena and I broke up, he said, voice a touch nasally. I was surprised. I had thought they were a great match, especially since Selena seemed to really like him. He was the first guy she introduced to her parents. Is it because of the escape room? I can explain. She must have mistaken you. Tim chuckled. Actually, it's not like I couldn't find friends to join the escape room. I specifically wanted to ask you. You probably don't know, but for the past 2 months, Selena's been down. She always has this long face. Whenever I tried to meet up, she'd say she's busy. Even when we were together, she wouldn't really smile. He paused. Ever since she found out about you and Victoria. Sometimes when we were together, I'd catch her looking at old photos of you two, checking your chat logs. She's been waiting for you to reach out. I was taken aback. You must be mistaken. Didn't she reject you? Tim gave a weak smile. At first, I thought she just saw you as a friend. Like she said, if she liked you, how would I even have a chance? I thought she liked me. A person like her, I can't imagine how many people have liked her over the years. Yet she only introduced me to her family. But later I realized that's not true. She couldn't remember I hate celery, but she always remembered you hate mushrooms. She says she doesn't like you, yet her eyes are always on you. She says she hopes you find a girlfriend, but when you do, she's more upset than anyone. Tim looked down and smiled wryly. I realized later on, she doesn't like me. She just thinks I'm the best fit. Like she always does everything perfectly. She wanted to find the perfect match in a relationship. But she doesn't get it. The best fit doesn't mean the one you love the most. A tear fell onto the deep blue tablecloth, blooming like ink. She never liked me from start to finish. I'm at a loss. You mean she likes me? If she liked me, why'd she reject me? Why'd she introduce me to Victoria? No idea. Tim wiped his eyes and looked up. Maybe nobody's perfect. Even someone as smart as Selena gets confused about feelings. I guess she only realized she liked you after you left. That's all I can figure. What I do know is she really cares about you. That's why I invited you to this escape room. I wanted to test my theory, afraid yet hoping I'm wrong. When I told her I wanted to bring you here, despite the cold shoulder she's been giving you, she immediately agreed. Selena's never been a fan of these silly games and has turned down my invites multiple times before. She obviously knows who you are. She's been watching you all along. I'm stumped, not knowing what to say. On the way back, I mentioned breaking up to her, and she didn't even try to stop me, almost like she was relieved. Tim regained his usual expression, sipping his coffee with a small smile. Anyway, I'm not without my own options. Goodbye's goodbye. I know it's not your fault. You've been trying to keep your distance. It's Selena who's the fool for not appreciating us. Her loss, not mine. She looked so dazzling when she said it, and she's right. Selena doesn't deserve her. I'm about to head out of the country. There's this project in France I've been holding off on because I didn't feel like leaving. But now there's nothing holding me back. I can focus on my career. Tim stepped closer to me, eyes reddened but smiling. I bet Selena will come running to you soon. I just wanted to give you a heads up. She's clueless about her feelings. Don't say yes to her. I just want to see her lose for once. She left, waving her hand at me. Next coffee's on you. My mind was a complete mess. Seeing Selena leaning against the wall as I got home made my heart skip a beat. In the dim light, we locked eyes. Her matte black outfit only made her gaze seem sharper. What are you doing here? Tim and I broke up. She looked at me, her gaze hidden under shadows as her head lowered. What's that got to do with me? I reflexively stepped back. Selena took a step closer, stopping right in front of me. Victoria's not right for you. Break up with her. I've realized something, David. I like you. You like me too. Let's be together again. Just like before. Her words seemed so certain. I couldn't help but laugh despite my anger. Selena, you're too full of yourself. I haven't liked you for a long time. I like Victoria now. Like, she said with a mocking smile, you've barely known her. What do you even know about each other? She suddenly grabbed my hand, holding my fingers in her palm. I was wrong before, not realizing how I felt about you. I'll make it up to you. You've liked me for so long. How can you just let go? You're insane. Talking to you is like talking to a wall. Selena's lips curled into an angry smile. You've known her for a few days and you're using her to get back at me? Suddenly, she grabbed the back of my neck and pushed me into a kiss. I kept my mouth tightly shut, but she forcefully pried it open. I wanted to bite her, but she held my jaw in place, roughly wiping away the spilled saliva. I couldn't breathe, overwhelmed with anger and frustration. I gritted my teeth and slapped her hard across the face. Selena didn't even flinch. Her head just turned from the impact. Selena, what do you think I am? Some pet you can just call back when you feel like it? When you're done with me, you just toss me aside. And when you want me back, a little summoning wave is supposed to do it. We're equals. Though I did like you, it doesn't mean I have no self-respect. That's not what I meant. She stammered. It's whatever. It doesn't matter. I wiped my mouth forcefully, staring coldly at her. Since that's how it is, we're not even friends anymore. I stormed upstairs and slammed the door hard behind me. Selena didn't follow, but I knew she hadn't left either. Leaning against the wall, I slowly crouched down, thinking about lighting a cigarette, but my hand stopped midway. I want to quit smoking. Later, half asleep, I'm startled awake by a message. It's from a friend I used to write with, their voice breaking with excitement. Your story hit the homepage. Someone gave you diamond votes. I thought I was dreaming, instantly wide awake, jumping out of bed. Turns out, my story had really made it to the homepage. Someone had given me 100 diamond votes. A diamond vote is worth 1,000, 10 grand in total, keeping my story at the top for 10 minutes straight. I was stunned, opening the user's profile, only to find their name was just a jumble of symbols, giving away nothing about them. Who could it be? My first thought was Selena, though I quickly dismissed it. Selena's never read my writing. Even knowing I write romance novels, her attitude's always been dismissive. Sure, she encouraged me, but she's never actually asked where I publish my work. Victoria is definitely not in the loop. I never mentioned to her which station I was at. So who could it be? I asked my friends, bewildered. One of them excitedly said, it might not even be someone you know. Maybe some rich lady just loves your stuff. There was a rich lady before who spent over 80 grand in recommendation votes on an article she liked. Seems like you're about to make it big, my friend. I stumbled over to look at the piece still featured on the homepage, feeling too shocked to even be happy. I was too nervous to let myself feel happy. I was scared it might just be a flash in the pan. But soon, the number of collections on my work started growing fast, and the site clicks and subscriptions caught up right away. In the following days, my collections kept climbing until, 10 days later, I was shocked to find my work had made it to the charts. Then came a message from the editor. Your piece is doing well. A company is interested in the rights. Wrap it up quickly if you can. I'll keep you updated on the rights deal. I put down my phone, taking a deep breath as a feeling of relief came over me. After a while, I messaged Victoria. Victoria, looks like that shooting star wish came true. She replied quickly, that's awesome. Let's watch again next time. When my mom's birthday came around, I had made my first 100 grand. Maybe that's not much for some people, but for me it was more than I ever imagined before. I went home with bags full of gifts to see my mom, but my smile dropped as soon as I opened the door. Selena was sitting on the sofa, helping my mom peel garlic. Seemed like he'd forgotten all about our clash the other day. He smiled at me and said, go change and wash up. Auntie made all your favorite dishes today. My expression got stiffer. My mom stood up and scolded. What's with your attitude? Look at Selena. Busy but still here for my birthday. And all those, she pointed at the pile of fancy gifts at the door. Selena brought them. I wouldn't know if he hadn't told me. You ought to be grateful he likes you. What more could you want than someone like Selena? I felt a headache coming on. Mom, don't listen to him. Plus, I already have a girlfriend. My mom waved her hand dismissively. What girlfriend? You only just met a few months ago, right? We've known Selena's family for years. Why settle for someone else when Selena is right here? This was beyond frustrating. Sure, Mom meant well, but her controlling nature was overbearing. Auntie, don't be upset with David. Selena wore a white sweater, looking downcast. If he doesn't like me, there's nothing I can do. It's probably my fault. Please don't argue because of me. My mom's anger flared. It's not you. It's him being ungrateful. I didn't expect Selena to rope my mother into this. She'd always liked Selena, often saying if I tried harder, maybe she could have Selena as her daughter-in-law. Now she definitely won't stop forcing us together. I slammed my bedroom door. My mom yelled, if you won't be with Selena, don't call me mom anymore. I don't want your gifts, and you can stop coming here. Ridiculous. Frustrated and upset, I called Victoria. Victoria answered with a laugh. What's up? Missing me already after just getting home? I explained the whole situation. I'm leaving tonight. Won't stay here. Could you pick me up at the airport? Victoria chuckled coldly. Selena's always been sneaky like that. I'd get blamed during our fights while she came away looking innocent. But we'll tackle this together. Don't worry, leave it to me. Selena stayed over at my place. During dinner, Mom was all about pleasing him, piling food on his plate. Eat up, she kept saying. Suddenly, the doorbell rang. I didn't move. Mom glared at me before opening the door and then froze. I got up, and there stood Victoria at the door, with her gold-rimmed glasses and a huge bouquet of flowers. She looked like she stepped right off a movie poster, utterly stunning. Hi, you must be Auntie. I'm Victoria, David's girlfriend. You look so young. At first, I thought David had a sister. With elegance, she handed my mom the flowers, her eyes sparkling with charm. Sorry to barge in, Uncle and Auntie. David didn't want me to come, but I heard it's your birthday, so I came to say happy birthday. Can I come in? Mom blushed, stammering, of course. Come in. No need to bring anything. Victoria put the gifts at the entrance, smiling. Oh, it's nothing valuable, just a little something. Mom quickly grabbed an extra set of utensils for Victoria, who smiled and sat opposite Selena, holding my hand in full view. Honestly, while Selena was good-looking, we've known each other for over 2 decades. That initial wow factor was missing, unlike Victoria's. Mom couldn't take her eyes off Victoria, especially after knowing she owned a company with a 9-digit annual profit, and her family's business was already public. Selena's grip on the chopsticks tightened, and her smile faltered. Through the meal, Victoria had Mom completely won over, and she let go of the idea of me breaking up with her. Even Dad was nodding along. After eating, both girls began to wash the dishes, trying to show off. Mom pulled me aside, her tone much softer. Didn't see it before, but you've got some skills, huh? No wonder you weren't interested in Selena. Your girlfriend is remarkable. I smirked, so, not pushing me and Selena anymore? My mom pursed her lips. I'm not stupid, you know? I wanted you two together before because her situation was good. Plus, I knew you liked her. But now there's Victoria. She says you're her first love, and first loves are different. She sighed. Selena's nice too, but she had boyfriends before and even brought them home. Compared to that, Victoria is better. That night, as Victoria was leaving, she suddenly let out a yelp. My mom got worried. What happened, Victoria? Victoria gave a wry smile and handed her phone to my mom. There's no room available in nearby hotels. It's okay. I'll look for another. Why stay in a hotel? My mom pulled her wrist. Stay at our place. We have an extra room. She didn't forget to tell Selena. Selena, I'm not asking you to stay since you live nearby. Selena turned pale and clenched her fists. All right. Victoria got the royal treatment at my place. The next day, my mom was nudging me to take her out. Take Victoria out for a spin. Staying home is boring. There wasn't much to see around here, except for a famous mountain with a temple that's said to be very spiritual. Just as I was about to head out with her, Selena showed up again. Mind if I join? We've been friends for so many years, she said with a smile. She's really thick-skinned. I couldn't bring myself to make a big scene in front of my parents, so I had to take her and Victoria up the mountain wearing a scowl. It was midsummer, and the mountain was lush and green, the air carrying a fresh, grassy scent. My mood improved. I enthusiastically took Victoria by the hand up the mountain, and we even lit incense at the temple. When I stepped out, she was writing something on a wish plaque she had bought. "What wish did you make?" I asked, curious, and found her writing "Grow Old Together" on it. I was touched. She handed me a plaque. "Want to make a wish too?" I wrote on mine, but instead of hanging it up, I started looking for something in a secluded spot on a branch. Selena, standing to the side, suddenly remembered something and turned pale. After a while, I found the wish plaque I tied there years ago. Back when I was 18 after finals, I came here with Selena. She didn't hang hers, and when I asked, she sneered, "I don't believe in these things. If I want something, I'll get it myself. I don't need any help." So I wrote mine and hung it in this under the radar corner. Selena asked me what I wished for, a good university. I laughed and shook my head. After years, the once bright plaque had faded, and the writing was a bit blurry. But you could still see that youthful passion. I hoped to be with Selena. I yanked that plaque down and tossed it down the mountain with force. Then I hung the new one up, hoping for a new hit story and a smooth career. Selena didn't come back with us. I didn't care and left with Victoria on a flight that night. I don't know if it was thanks to the wish, but since that day, my story's stats never dropped. The editor kept praising me. "I used to think something was missing in your romance stories. The characters seemed weak, but now that you've changed the style, the rhythm's great. How about the 1.3 million offer for the rights? It's your first one, so it won't be too high. Do you agree?" I excitedly hugged my pillow and rolled around on the bed, sharing the good news with Victoria. As I was about to write some more, the doorbell unexpectedly rang. Looking through the peephole, I saw Selena. She looked exhausted, her face flushed and eyes shadowed, like she had been traveling a long way. I was surprised, so I opened the door. "What happened to you?" Selena is always so composed and in control. What happened for her to look this defeated? She shakily raised a hand. In it was a faded wooden plaque. "I found the wish plaque," she said, her eyes misting up. "I searched for 2 days at the foot of the mountain and got it back. David, I found the plaque. Can't you come back too?" she asked, her voice hoarse. "Sorry." I looked at her earnestly. "I really only see you as a friend, Selena. Don't waste your time on me." Those were words she once told me. A smart woman like her would remember them. Maybe that's why her tears fell. I went back inside, shutting her out of the light from our warm, cozy home. A long time passed. So long that I've sold the rights to several books, become a famous screenwriter, and achieved financial freedom. Mom stopped asking me to come back, bragging to everyone about how accomplished her son is. Selena moved abroad, always single and never married, never returning either. But on my birthday and during New Year, she'd send me a gift, which a furious Victoria always threw away. By then, Victoria and I had been married 3 years, and the kid could say, "Daddy." One day, while she was playing with our child and my phone was dead, I used hers to log into a novel site and saw an eerily familiar account. I paused. "That was you all along? Wait, but how did you know what I wrote? Why did you?" Victoria seemed to remember something then, leaning against me with our child, a smile on her lips. "You shared your writings on another platform before, though you quickly deleted them." "But I saw," she said, smiling brightly. "As for why," she chuckled, "I read all your stories. I thought you were really good, especially that new one back then. You just needed to be noticed. I guess my intuition was right. I didn't need to check anymore, 'cause your books took off." A warm rush filled my chest. I hugged her tightly. She put the baby aside and hugged me back. Afternoon sunlight poured over us. Somehow, without us knowing, summer had arrived.